How the heck are you? How the heck are you? How the heck are you?
We're going to do a podcast.
So let's get a little deeper into your story, shall we? Who are you?
How
that becomes a sticky wicket. You know, what's your juice? Let's get back on track. You've got a lot of things going on. What is it that you're curious about? You know, what you're doing. Right? Well,
Like, let's crumble up some falafel for you.
boom, 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 boom. It's been a whirlwind for you. What is it that supercharges you about this? Lots going on, lots coming up. Or is that too many stuff? Did I ask too many questions?
No, not too many questions.
Hello, everybody. Welcome once again to Drop the Mic, the Chamber podcast. I am your host, Mo Beliveau, the Executive Director of the Chamber of Commerce of Easthampton. Drop the Mic is where I get to talk to chamber members, local people of interest, thought leaders, entrepreneurs, and I get to converse with them as to who they are, what they do, and most importantly, why they do it. I want to take a minute to thank our partner in this project, which is Easthampton Media. We are here today in their studio, and I'd like to thank Jeff Mastriani, the Executive Director, and his team, and Ryan especially is here today, Ryan Arnold, and he is Production Coordinator. So we have had a little hiatus, a little pause in our podcasting for a little bit as due to the pandemic, and we'll probably be talking about that a little bit as we move along. But I would like to, before we get into all that big conversation, we have our guests here today. Our guests today for episode 15 is President and Creative Director of Cider House Media, Lennie Appelquist, and his gorgeous, lovely partner in life, Elizabeth Appelquist. And I'm sorry, I don't know your official title over at Cider House Media.
I'm the VP, Vice President.
Nice.
Amongst other hats, but that's the main one.
All righty. A woman of many hats. I had the distinct pleasure of meeting both Lennie and Elizabeth about 6 years ago or so when I popped into their new office over on Northampton Street here in Easthampton. And I walked in and it was instantly, wow. Instantly fell in love with Cider House Media and with Lennie and Elizabeth. So hopefully we'll get into that little bit conversation, and away we go. So Lennie, Elizabeth, how the heck are you guys?
We're fabulous.
All things considered, doing really well.
Yeah.
Oh, very well. So, and tell me, who the heck are you? Give me a little,
Well,
give me a
that's
little
loaded
information.
question.
Oh boy.
Who are you, sir?
So, for about 25 years living in Los Angeles, I was born and raised in LA. For 25 years, I worked in the film industry and did mostly commercials and music videos. So, a busy month for me, I might work 15 or so days. That just was the nature of it. One of the directors I worked with had an animation studio in Toronto and had a lot of things going on the web, and that was late 90s, early 2000s. And he had this kind of cottage industry thing happening on this early version of the web. So I had this great idea. Well, I want to do something. I want to have something outside of what I do. And it was interesting. So way back then, I built a site called assistantdirectors.com with the idea that I would have a directory for the film industry worldwide where they could find crew and production services companies and production companies and ad agencies and all that. So I spent a year and a lot of my own money to build that out. And I had 5,000 or so people around the world using it. And then the company that owns Variety magazine built something much better and launched it one day. And so that was kind of that. But I had the bug.
They have a wee bit more resources.
Yeah, quite a few.
Yeah.
And so that turned into websites for friends and family on the side. And then some paying clients just as kind of a hobby with a little extra cash, play money. And then when Elizabeth and I met and I coaxed her out to the West Coast from here because she was born and raised here, we kind of jumped in to build a business with web design and the design. And so that was probably 2009 that we started. Yep. And then we moved here in 2013, and we can get into details why in a bit. But we needed to, the choice was I could commute to New York and continue working or start something here. And I just was not interested in back and forth to New York. And it was complicated the way the union works and things like that. So we churned our business that we had in Los Angeles into Cider House. Basically closed shop there, open shop here.
Nice.
And yeah.
And Elizabeth, who are you? Who the heck are you?
That is the craziest question. Well, I have done a gazillion things.
A gazillion things. How about a little bit of prior to, you're meeting Lennie, you were born and raised here in Easthampton, native
Yes.
girl.
And I came back, Lennie and I came back in 2013. Well, actually, so I went to Williston, and then after I graduated, I went to various places in the country, and that's where I did various jobs, from like I was a limo driver to I was Cinderella at little kids' birthday parties, and crazy things like that, acting, and developed, I think, a lot of, I think my character was shaped by doing so many different things.
Right, yep.
And when Lennie came along, and I think we watched the idea of, well, it was Free Market Media Group, which became Cider House. We watched it evolve together, and I became really excited about that. What it offered creativity. Yeah. It offered, I like being organized. It offered that. And there was a lot to it. Plus, he came with a package. So
it's a pretty good deal.
Yeah.
I think I scored pretty well.
Yeah.
Nice.
So then I moved out there in 2009, and then my mom became ill in 2013. So we moved back to take care of her. And I honestly, as much as I loved California, it just never fit me like a glove. And there was always this pull to come back to my roots and be back in Easthampton. And so I feel that we're just really thriving here, as individuals, and we really relate to the community.
Yes,
and love being a part of it.
Nice.
And so that's kind of, I don't know if I answered your
yes,
question.
you did. And so, Lennie, were you a native of California?
Yeah, born and raised in Los Angeles. Grew up most of my life in Redondo Beach.
Yeah, surf
So
shop.
kind
Surf
of-
shop guy.
Kind of, yeah. More a skater.
Okay.
We moved down there. I was a little older. The kids my age were already really good surfing, and it's a pretty rough community, and ridicule's tough as a 10-year-old.
Right.
So,
right.
I kind of stayed on land, but was functional. Definitely spent a lot of time at the beach and the water, and so that was certainly the formative part. What really kicked it off for me is they were filming a movie, Cannonball Run, near where we lived, and so they were doing stunts on the street, like at the end of our block. So I watched that, and then I followed them down to what became the finale of the movie. And as a 15-year-old, actually was on set with Burt Reynolds and Farrah Fawcett and Dom DeLuise, and during the whole finale, and no one kicked me off. And then, fast forward 15 years
you
or so.
didn't tell the good part about with Farrah Fawcett.
Oh, so the best part's that. So the end of the movie on the Cannonball Run, the end of the race, there's this like champagne, pop the champagne, and they're all spraying it. And so again, I'm 15, so this is 1978.
Right.
During her height, she ran behind me and grabbed my shirt to protect herself from the champagne. So yeah, it was pretty good. And so I had the bug. I had the idea. I want to do this.
Yeah.
I want to do this.
Yeah.
And so, it took some time, but ended up going down that path for a long time, and spent 25 years doing that. My first job was Julia Roberts' driver on Pretty Woman.
Okay.
And it just got,
just kills me.
almost not better than it from there, but some things.
Right. So you have this fast-paced life and this really interesting situation going on. And I wonder, you seem very happy here in Easthampton. You feel it seems to me like you're very content and you love the community. And do you ever, I don't want to say miss California, but was it an easy transition? Was it like
it actually was,
or do you not even? You just that was a piece that formed us, formed our business, but contributed to who you are now, and now you're here.
Yeah, I was actually kind of shocked that Lennie adapted so well. I'm obviously not surprised that I would, but even to the snow. And he gets very excited when we hear blizzards are coming, which is...
If we would get one.
Nowadays. But anyway, that's my perception.
If you believe in vision boards or that kind of idea, my whole life I had this idea that I wanted to live in a small town where I could walk to restaurants and shopping
Well,
from
there you
home.
go.
And you get what you ask for sometimes.
Yes,
so,
you do.
I mean, it's it's a small town, and pace is definitely different than what I experienced most of my life. But there's also this amazingly rich culture of art and food and entrepreneurship and support from nonprofits and community organizations. It's a community, and that's a piece that you don't get to see. Where I grew up, the town was 63,000 people, but the metropolitan area was 13.5 million people.
Right. Yeah.
So, twice the, LA County's twice the population of the whole state of Massachusetts. And so it's a little, it's a little different.
Yeah, traffic. I had the pleasure of being in LA once, and it was like scary on the highway.
It took me forever.
It's not even, I think, 91 or the Mass Pike Highway. That's not even what a highway is. But anyways, let's talk a little bit about Cider House Media. And I would like to know what area do each of you consider yourselves to be an expert in?
That's a loaded question.
Go first.
Is it everything?
Yeah.
No, it can't be. No. I'm definitely not a jack of all trades, master of none. But I think there are a handful of places really down the marketing line. And I think I was really lucky to work in an industry where people could tell stories in 30 seconds and evoke emotion, on the first pass.
Right.
I find that to be one of the most remarkable things that is in existence as far as storytelling goes. To be able to deliver something in a short form like that can cause a visceral reaction, tears or a smile, or it's just, that's really good. And I think just being around that for so long, it made the transition to doing what I do, because I'm not an advertising agency guy. I did not do design in college. I was a film guy in college. But to be able to make that transition was easy. So expertise, I think that visual side, so composition, how visual imagery can tell a story, how it can help words or dialogue or anything else tell the story. I would say I have mastery there. After doing this literally now for over 20 years, I have a pretty good mastery on what can sell. Being a salesperson was not something I ever thought of, but the reality is that if you're a small business owner, that's what you do.
Yeah, every day.
That is your job.
Yeah.
You are the marketing arm. You're the sales arm. You're washing the dishes. You do it all, and so you better be good at a lot of those to make it happen. And so it was trial by fire, and it was places. I think what convinced us, I think, to jump in was we were already seeing competing in a big market in LA, but not getting jobs there, but getting jobs all over the country because of our search engine optimization at the time, or how people were seeing us on social media, or go look it up, the WordPress tutorial videos I was doing in 2008 and 2009.
Right.
Those were, at the time, that was a way to get eyes on. The playing fields changed. And so, I think we're good at and pretty nimble at adapting to what's going on, and we have our niche. So our target is people who live in communities like ours, who have businesses that matter, that are part of the economic engine, that people want to go see and need to know about, and the businesses that create services that might not be as sexy, the insurance companies, or things like that on the surface might not be great, but helping them understand that their brand is also their customer service and not just their website, is a great thing to do. So I think those places, a good marketing sense, a good design sense, understanding how the web works, how to get people to your business and achieve some outcomes through your web presence, through online and offline marketing, but be able to tie those all together. For a certain level of business. We're not going to go, yet work for Google. That's just not our wheelhouse. That's not what we do. There are agencies much better set up to do that. But to help small businesses, small regional, local, important businesses tell their story, I think that's totally our wheelhouse.
Right. How about you, Elizabeth?
Can I add something
to
what he said? One thing that Lennie does is he has this confidence and this willing to dive into things that he doesn't really know about, like if it's a new technology all the time. And I remember when we're first starting, and WordPress, you can go and and I don't want to touch that. I might break it. He goes, you can't break anything. Don't worry. Because so it was like, it gave me the freedom. And I think that comes across, to our team. And
Right.
At least it just kind of de-stressed me about something. So I think that's a really
a superpower.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally.
And I think it's important for whomever, customers in general need, they've come to whomever, whatever business, assuming that they're the expert. So be the expert.
Yeah, and I think,
Right.
and to throw some credit back towards Elizabeth, is I mentioned customer service being part of the brand. I think that's where we
Yes.
excel too. Is still have the same client that was my very first paid
Right.
client that was not a family member who threw me $100 because they
Right.
were being nice, and so Elizabeth nurtures those relationships really well. I mean, I think together we do it exceptionally well, but without her on part of that, I don't have I'm not scalable, so I don't have that capacity to manage those relationships all the time as well. And that's where
Right.
I think that we have this perfect kind of balance, front end, back end,
Yeah.
business creative side that goes on. And then there's the parts that overlap.
And with a customer service, I mean, not to toot our own horns, but I
Go
Oh,
for
you're
it.
here to toot your horn.
okay.
Do it.
I think that we're really kind and nice, generous individuals, and we really love people, and so it's challenging getting that to come across through an email.
Yes.
But I
It
think
can go
that those
horribly awry.
I think that
very fast.
oh yes, but I don't think we've experienced too much of that. But there is the potential. That's a whole other subject. But I think it's really important that people feel at ease, and that we're not just some robots that are spitting out this
Templates.
information and templates and things like that. And I think that we do a good job of that. Like with even on Zoom, which we've all the world has totally adapted to.
Actually,
But-
if we have to pull a best thing, a silver lining out of the pandemic,
Sure.
is actually how we do our client meetings now, because it was phone calls, and you don't get to see anybody. And I mean, sometimes people would come in, but if we have a client in Somerville, they're not going to drive for, 100 minutes to 2 hours to get here.
Right.
They're going to call,
Right.
but we can do it on Zoom, and it's at face to face. So, that's probably been the biggest shift through this, is how adaptable everybody had to become
Right.
to different things.
Right. And it's adaptability, like we were talking before we started filming, is that's just not going to stop.
No.
That's not going to stop. And I have to say that as much as we all kind of, Zoom, I've been on Zoom all day, Zoom. But I prefer, I had a situation the other day when somebody said, a phone call is going to be, I'd rather have a phone call. And I was like, really? Darn it. Darn.
I
Okay.
mean, there are times that that's good, and if it's someone you have an established relationship with, but it's
Yeah.
the face-to-face time is really nice.
Yeah.
And I think, it's definitely changed the way we work, but I think it's changed. Pandemic changed the world.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, and and I know we might be jumping the gun because you haven't brought that up yet, but that I think was the.
Well, it's kind of unavoidable. It's
Yeah.
like interwoven with everything we have to talk about.
Yeah, 'cause
Henceforth, right?
Yeah, and I think that our notion, because we were already online and doing so many things with so many tools, I think it gave us a little bit of a head start when the pandemic happened. I mean, we were already using Zoom. It just became completely a different level of that use.
And
Yeah.
comfortability.
And the interesting thing that happened right when the lockdown happened is we had people who were in kind of our sales pipeline. I hate to use that, but
Right.
who said, no, we don't know what's going on. We're going to stop. And we had clients that were ongoing clients that, oh, we don't know what's going on. We're
Yep.
going to stop. And so we're like, what are we going to do?
Right.
Like, what's this going to look like?
Right.
And so we kind of rode the first couple months and not knowing what was going to happen in the world. But then what happened is slowly almost every sector of business that we worked with started coming back because they realized they needed help with online ordering. Like, we got to do takeout. They're gone now, but Coco and the Cellar Bar was our very first client here in Easthampton.
Right.
And we worked with them to get their, to go order engine set up
Right.
and make that work. And
Right.
that was amazing because it kept them, alive through most of the pandemic. And I don't think it was economics only that had
Right.
them go away, but
Right.
that helped. And I think, with all of a sudden businesses that were used to people walking in and sitting down at an insurance company, like doing those conversations,
Right.
it was a different thing. So and I don't think we're going to put that genie back in the bottle.
Nope.
Because now people are comfortable with it. So it's changed the playing field.
Yeah.
So you can't have a site that won't work on your telephone. You can't have marketing messages on the top of your website or on your social media that don't resonate with not your audience and
Right.
offends them or so there's suddenly this whole other level of care that has to be taken to make sure that even your existing customers, clientele, understand what you're up to.
Right. Right. What is the best part of each of your roles at Cider House, Elizabeth?
Picking out the quote for the sign.
Nice. The sign, the infamous sign. Yes, the famous sign.
Yes.
We love the sign. The
But
region loves the sign.
that is one. Do you know we get cards and in the mail?
I
like
believe it.
In emails.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's amazing. But truly, that is one of the highlights.
I'm going to expand on that a little because she downplayed the cards thing. I mean, we've had cards from people who said, I've been suffering depression because of loss of a loved one.
Right.
And I drive by your sign every day on the way to work, and it gives me hope.
Nice.
I mean, we get that,
Isn't that
after
wonderful?
Yes.
after
Really
the
wonderful.
terrorist attack in France on the magazine. I can't remember.
Charlie Abdo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Abadou.
We had on our sign, Nous sommes France. We are France.
Yes.
That's what we put up that day. And we're in the office, and this sweet little, probably 80-year-old woman walks in, and she says, is that your sign, in a very strong French accent.
Yeah.
And I think I was there, and I said, yeah, we put that up. And she just cried and came over and hugged me.
Aw.
I mean, I could almost close the doors right there. And like, okay, we won.
I know, right?
We won the internet. We won the day. We won the sign.
Right.
So it's a really important function, I think, community-wide that Elizabeth does with that sign.
Yeah, I
So-
love it. Thank you for doing it.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Welcome.
So, what is the best business advice individually each of you have ever gotten?
I mean, it's kind of cliched, but fail forward fast.
I love it. I
You
love
know,
it.
Because if it's real, if everything's delivered to you, you don't learn anything from that, other than it's easy. And then when you fail, you have no tools to
Right.
deal with it. So
I love that. I'm
Don't
gonna tell you.
quit.
I love that, and I'm gonna tell you why. Have you ever heard of Tom Bilyeu?
Sounds familiar.
He is the one of the founders of Quest Nutrition Foods, and he's got many, many other businesses. Well, he happens to be also a podcaster at the moment, but he said that he, for the longest time, had the worst self-esteem and he's like a multimillionaire, and he's younger than me, so that's young, and he said that, he, for the longest time, that he, fail, I failed at this, I failed at that, I fail. And finally, he realized that he needed to switch that to, I'm not a failure, I'm a learner. And now he has this insatiable, this need for learning new things and learning and trying things. And it's just completely, and as soon as he did that, his whole world changed. FYI.
yeah, and I think the lesson sometimes could be from failure is like, yeah, I'm not good at this. I gotta go find
Yeah, well,
something,
that's good
something
too.
different.
Yeah.
The lessons are good.
Yeah. Elizabeth?
I don't know if anybody specifically said it, but the first thing that came to my mind was don't give up. And I have always been an entrepreneur in one way, one form or the other. The only time I had a 9-to-5 was when I worked for Target for a year, and then I couldn't go
Wow.
back in Target for
Wow.
a while.
That's a long
after that.
time.
Yeah, it was for me. It was, but I think that, and I'm really I follow my intuition very much, and I think that's the not giving up part, goes hand in hand with that. It's because one will be pulled to do something, and then maybe it's not going so great, so maybe we should trust this, and if that's still pulling you forward, just don't give up.
Run your own race.
You know, I mean, have some common sense, of course, you know, but I think that just underlying,
Yeah.
you know, keep going, kid.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's good.
Love that. What was the worst?
The worst advice?
Yeah, the worst business advice that you ever gotten.
And again, I can't remember who it was, but somebody that had probably the worst person to listen to, somebody that didn't have a lot of business sense. We found out later that wasn't a person to listen to, but had like really grandiose and not based in reality, you know,
Advice.
and advice. But we really learned from it.
Well,
Really, really learned from it. So in a way, I'm grateful
Right.
for it.
right.
You know,
I get that too. That's awesome. Lenny?
I don't know if there's one single piece, but you know, people are definitely free to, oh, have you seen this really cool thing you can do? This website I found can do this thing for you. Like, yeah, thanks. We don't do that.
Right?
Oh, but here, you should do this. Like, no, we don't do that.
Yeah, right.
But thanks.
Yes.
So, yeah, I can't really think of,
I get
you know,
what you're
one real instance of advice that I followed that was awful that way,
Okay.
but people try.
What was your biggest business challenge? What is your biggest business challenge?
I think that when we find clients that, or just potential clients that don't understand the need for, you know, just some little website, that how important it is.
I know.
Your
right?
online presence.
Yes.
They don't get it. I mean, even
Yeah.
if this day and age, that's an obstacle.
Yeah.
You know, and sometimes we just have to let it go.
Yes.
So, you know, and I think it makes, at least speak for myself, it kind of makes me a little sad
Yeah.
because they don't see how important it is, and that just may not turn out very good for them in the long run.
No, and it's a sad thing. It is a sad thing, Elizabeth, because it so often it's the first face that anybody sees.
Especially
Right?
nowadays.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And it's so important. I can remember, you know, I was a massage therapist once upon a time, and I thought, oh, well, you know what? I was in a previous life. I was also an interior, corporate interior designer, space planner, blah blah blah, and you know, I thought, oh, I could design my own logo. Worst possible thing that could ever happen. I can draw, you know. No, you need to. You need someone to help you do that. You just need to. It's going to be the best money that you've saved for and you've invested with that you could possibly spend.
I mean, people
You
are
know?
starting to see more the importance of it, which is encouraging, but still, you know, it's kind of out there.
Yeah, it's tough.
Well, I mean, I could probably figure out how to put our own toilet in the bathroom, right? Right. Do that. But I don't know that I'll do it very good.
Right.
And so the plumber's a really good option to just,
Right.
you know, handle it.
Right.
And I think that's,
analogy.
you know, and I think because there are, and they serve their purpose, but sites like Wix or Squarespace and even WordPress, oh, it's easy. You just get a template. I mean, if I had $1, okay, make it $10. For every time someone came to me with a site saying, oh yeah, I had this person, you know, they built this site, and I look at it and go, they used that template and made it worse. Like that's a good skill to have, to be able to get work calling yourself a web designer and taking a product that's already really good and making it worse to deliver to your client. That's an interesting skill to have.
Right.
And so the DIY part on your marketing on the web, all of those things. I mean, I understand the shoestring budget idea. Small businesses don't have the capacity or the marketing funds or a marketing department. I get it. And there are tons of influencers who are showing up with 200,000 Instagram followers telling you how to do that.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
good luck.
Right.
Because I can walk out in a thunderstorm too and probably won't get hit by lightning either.
Right.
But it can happen.
Right.
So it's that, it's that same thing. And, there are the exceptions to the rule, but the rules really are consistency and being consistent and found so people, no matter where they find you, they understand. I think that's kind of the biggest part of that is there's this illusion that DIY, especially on websites, but graphic design.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Canva's great, but if you don't have a visual sense, you're going to build bad graphics, as good
Right.
as the tools are.
Right.
You know, I have really good hammers at home. I couldn't build a house.
Right.
You know, it's not going to happen. So
That's funny. What trend in 2020, since 2020, has accelerated due to that you see are accelerating due to the challenges of the pandemic? Did I just make sense?
yeah, I wish I could pull up the blog post we did on that for trends
Yes.
based on that. But I'm pretty sure in there we talked e-commerce
Yep.
because all of a sudden, even if it wasn't selling products, it could be just a way to accept money.
Yep.
Because they might not have a back end where they could collect money, but just an easy way to do that because the face-to-face was gone. They couldn't swipe a credit card. So I think that part, that's one part of it for sure. I think it was the use of virtual communication tools.
Yep.
Really having to, like we talked Zoom already and other tools, other means of communication. I think managing remote teams was a big thing. So using tools, again, that we were lucky we're already using them because we
Yeah.
have remote players since we started this. Slack, Basecamp, Monday.com, Harvest for payroll, because you can't, if you're all in the same room, that's fine. You have a conversation. But if you're spread everywhere, all of a sudden you need to have some effective means to manage your employees, manage their tasks, manage workflows that you can't do in person.
Right.
So I think that's one of the biggest things for a lot of companies. I mean, obviously service industries, a completely different thing because, restaurant workers can't work remotely.
Right.
That
right,
doesn't
right,
happen.
Right.
But almost everybody else can.
Yeah, I know, right? It's amazing.
And so I think that's been the biggest learn is how do we keep our employees, our staff happy and working from home? How do we free up those distractions? How do we give them the tools they need to communicate? How do we keep the teams active with each other? I think that's one of the biggest, learning how to navigate a virtual office space rather than, being in one building together.
What is your biggest insight that you have gained as a result of COVID? Is there an insight that has kind of floored you or impressed you or?
Well, for me personally, our house, we're very fortunate, is right on the edge of a forest. And so
yeah, I know.
every morning and every evening I'm out walking with my dog, even rainstorm,
Your dog?
blizzard. Ask him.
Yeah, it's true, actually.
Right?
I mean, if he had a choice, he would go with
No,
that.
Trust me,
he
I
loves
know
Lennie.
because
The cat's mine.
yes, we rescued a Swiss white shepherd during COVID, and we've had her for 1 year. She's turning 2 in next week, and she's clearly Michael, my husband, is her favorite human, which makes me entirely sad. But oh well, could be worse.
Well, I'm Jackson's second favorite human, so that's pretty good.
Yeah,
I'll
I'm
take that.
second.
I will be out walking our dog, and I've always loved it. But then I would, pre-COVID, go places and
Yep.
go to meetings and be with people, and that was such a release. After being just inside all the time, nothing personally against you, because Lennie was the only one I was with, but just. There's something about that,
Nature.
just as we all have experienced, like living in a closet and then going outside and then feeling like the expansiveness, that and the clearing that nature can bring. So for me, it really highlighted how important that is. I think to all of us, to get out and just breathe and release.
Sigh.
Yeah, exactly.
Nice. Lennie?
You're going to ask me the same question, aren't
I
you?
am.
It's a really good question because, when I started doing this before Elizabeth and even when we were in Los Angeles, we worked from home. So we were doing that. So we
So
didn't
it's
have
not new.
we didn't have an office space there. And I think, what it did rather than an insight, but more like a reinforcement, is it really showed how good we are together as a team.
Nice.
Because, for 4 years in LA, we were 24/7. We were working from home. Everywhere we went was together.
Yeah.
Everything we did was together, and we flourish. And, here, when we came here and had the office, we weren't around each other all the time anymore because Elizabeth was taking care of of parents. And,
Yeah.
you know, I was running the team and Elizabeth was working from home a lot of the time. And it was a little different. But now the last 2 years being back, it just really reinforced that we're just really good together.
Nice.
It just works. And we fit in, we allow each other our space. But, you know, it's always nice to know that my other, you know, the other part of my being, you know, most important person to me is there. And we just do that really well together. So
touche.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Lovely answer.
Yeah, you're all right.
All right, you guys. Shifting the energy just a little bit. I want to know from both of you. You have a soundtrack for your life. And there's one song what one song absolutely has to be on that soundtrack?
one song.
Oh, you should.
I
get
have
that
the most
right away.
eclectic taste in music. My Spotify.
Well, let's assume that all of them are there, but which one has to be there and you would be like mortified if it wasn't?
Some James Bond
No.
theme. Well, no, because we have an adventurous life.
that's
Don't
true.
you think that would be cool? Oh.
Yeah, it's tricky because I mean,
You're the music buff, so I'm gonna. You got that.
yeah, my tastes are all over. But so my favorite band my whole life has been Led Zeppelin.
Okay.
So I'm going to say it's probably 10 Years Gone by Led Zeppelin.
Oh,
So,
nice.
I don't
Elizabeth?
get it.
it's just it's a great song.
He
and
loves it. He just
Yeah.
loves it.
No, what does it mean? What does it mean to you? That's what I mean.
Ah.
It's a song about journey, and so it
Oh,
kind of does
nice.
bring in that adventure, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
So what's up? What's up next for the two of you?
I think we're working really hard on now that we've been home and see what works and what doesn't work, and a whole slew of different kinds of clients coming our way, is looking how we can be more nimble and scale in those other areas.
Wow.
So kind of coming back to some of our roots and taking more care in, and especially now, not that we were sloughing before, but really pushing especially the smaller, low budget clients, working on packages for them
Nice.
so that their websites will actually work.
Yes, I get
Right.
it.
So
Yep.
it's not just, we were content with doing the brochures for people that was basically, part of the referral engine. Like, here's my card, go see my site.
Yeah.
It needs to be more than that because the opportunity for the last couple of years hasn't been there to hand someone your card to say, here,
Right.
go see my site.
Right.
Because I don't see anybody. So I think
That is
it's
a huge point.
it's looking at all those pieces. And I think what's next for us is a little bit back to my roots on the filmmaking side. That creative part has been lacking. That's one of the things I miss a lot. Even though I get into a lot of creative stuff, I think that piece, there's going to be pieces of that showing up at some point because
Sweet.
I miss doing that part.
Nice. Excellent. So where can people find you?
Everywhere.
Everywhere.
We're easy to find. Obviously, the website, if we're going there, is ciderhouse.media. You can find us on all the socials, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Pinterest at ciderhousema username.
Nice.
For the most part, we stay pretty active. You get a pretty good idea of who we are and what we do from those.
Okay.
The old adage about a cobbler's kids having no shoes is true sometimes because it's sometimes hard to manage our own social medias when we're
Right.
doing that for everybody else.
Yep.
But so you can find us there, and yeah, we're easy to find
Excellent.
and easier when we get back in the office again.
Thank you so much to the both of you for taking time out of your busy day, your busy schedules, and spending it here with us.
Well, it's
And
our
our
pleasure.
audience.
We
Thank
love
you.
you, Mo.
Oh, I love you back. Thanks, man. And I also want to thank Easthampton Media for helping us make this all that it can be in this project. So wonderful and exciting. If you would like to know more about the Easthampton Chamber, you can find us at easthamptonchamber.org. You can also find out more about Easthampton Media at easthamptonmedia.org. And you can see the podcasts on the YouTube channel for both Easthampton Media and the Chamber. I want you to make sure that you check that out, smash the like button, share, all that sort of stuff. You
Hit
can
the bell too, so you get notified when the next one goes up.
That's right. Hit the bell, and you can listen to us on Spotify, Apple Podcast, anywhere you get your podcast. So there's audio and there's video as well. So thank you, and Peace out, everyone.